John Brown, whom we talked to last hour and earlier this hour, was talking about how he feels that she should be deemed Elizabeth the Great, Queen Elizabeth the Great. Let's bring in historian Craig Shirley, as well as Alex Phillips, ex-member of Parliament. Craig, we're looking at this close up. We're seeing the things unfold. We're asking about the political implications.
Sure.
What is history going to say about this queen?
Well, it's going to be all good. She saw the transformation of Great Britain from a 19th century power to a 21st century power, to continue that special relationship with the United States. Bob, the one thing I've been thinking about over and over is that one thing that has escaped all of us is that she saw the beginning and the rise of Soviet communism, and she saw the death and the victory over communism.
Interesting.
That entire era spanned her life. She saw it all.
And what do you think? What message from that, Craig, do you think she got? Because as you were saying, she was born, she lived through all of that. At one time, the Soviet Union was truly a superpower, and now we've seen, now we've seen the dissension, and we've seen it descend into Russia and some other countries, and we see what's going wrong in Ukraine. What message do you think she gathered from that?
I think she may have gathered a message that freedom is for all, that the future points toward freedom, as Gorbachev said at the end of his reign, which was quite remarkable given the fact that he was a communist his whole life, and given the fact that she was her country anyway, her royalty, going back to George II and King George III, were on the wrong side of the American Revolution. And it was a religious revolution, but it was also about to make men free. And so she gathered that knowledge from her own fight with not her own fight personally, but her country's fight with the United States. And again, seeing totalitarianism and communism in the form of the Soviet Union rise up to become a global superpower, and then together with Thatcher and Pope John Paul II and Reagan to see it defeated. That it's just a remarkable thing to me that she saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
She saw the beginning of communism. She saw the death of communism.
Exactly, and she saw the ascension of the West and of the Western values.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that they worked.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
Alex.
Exactly.
Alex, I want to bring you in, and I want to ask you about young people. She was 25 when she ascended to the throne. She was in Kenya when King George VI passed away. She was on a global Commonwealth tour with her new husband, Prince Philip. At the time, she rushed back home to ascend to the throne, but 25 years old. And to me, I think that's very inspiring, particularly for young people. That at such a young age, she conducted herself with such great poise and grace. Do you believe that she still connected with young people in that way, and she was an inspiration for young women in particular throughout the course of her reign?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, look, in the same way that young people look up to their grandparents, young people felt the Queen was their grandmother. She is a relative to most of us. And it's been so important. In my lifetime, I have had 3 female prime ministers, but I've always had my Queen. She's always been there in my life. She's always been on the banknotes, on the postage stamps. And it is so important. And it's something that should make Britain incredibly proud. And talking about the historical significance, we don't measure our history in the United Kingdom in centuries. We measure it in monarchs. We talk about the Edwardian era, the Georgian era, and now we've just seen the end of the second Elizabethan era. Our first Queen Elizabeth was a monarch for a very long time, an extremely impressive and strong female leader, and so has our second been. And I think there's this huge sense of trepidation now, because talking about the changes that are taking place in the world right now, of course, the Queen reigned over the period that basically the British Empire was breaking up. What we once had when she became Queen of England as the head of state in many countries, who then throughout her reign declared independence. And I think it's quite a remarkable thing that we don't quite know what this is going to represent yet, but I think it's it's very likely that the second Elizabethan era will have an extremely strong and memorable flavour. And there's a huge fear in this country. I don't really know how to explain it, but there is a huge fear in this country that her passing represents a sadness that the world has lost a great woman, but also that the end of an incredible era is also coming to pass.
Let me ask you this, Alex. We have a shot of outside Buckingham Palace, the residence of the royal family. I wonder if we could take a... Okay, we lost that shot. Okay, we have seen people there, even in the rain. I wanted to get thoughts from you. Why do people go there? What does it mean to them? I mean, I visited there as a tourist when I've been to England, as so many others have. But what are they feeling?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's the thing that most represents the Queen. It is believed to be her home. I mean, actually, she didn't always spend her time there. It's always sort of fairy tale illusion that she would be hanging out in her apartment at Buckingham Palace with her corgis. But it is the great sort of seat of the monarch in the United Kingdom. And so it's a meeting point. It's a gathering point. It's symbolic. And when anything happens, people want to be there by the gate. It's a huge tourist pull as well, seeing the Queen's guards with their bearskin hats and the changing of the guard and big events going up the Mall, like the Trooping of the Colour. So at a time like this, it's natural that people are going to be drawn to Buckingham Palace. I live just around the corner from Kensington Palace. I'd imagine there are people laying wreaths there. There'll be wreaths being laid at Sandringham, at Windsor, and of course at Balmoral, which was where she's past her final days. But you know, she's hugely symbolic, and it strikes me. I was looking at Twitter earlier, at all the headlines going on around the world. There's not a single newspaper in a single country anywhere in the world that's leading with any other story on their front page. Yeah. Other than the death of Queen Elizabeth II. And it doesn't say Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom. It just says the Queen has died on so many global newspapers. She was our Queen, but she was everybody's Queen.